Fire and Hurricane. They are very similar in terms of the mass of the airplane and to the uneducated outsider. They look very similar, similar size, but they were built for two completely different jobs. They're both fighter aircraft, but both the Hurricane and the Spitfire were very much built for the European theatre in terms of art.
Whereas these days, in our displays, our pilots have thousands. But just to throw one more, spanner in the works, shall we say, it was decided that pilots would not carry parachutes into combat. It was decided they would encourage pilots to jump out of what could be a fully functioning aircraft. So, or die. And I think it's this that makes it so, looking for the word, it's such a tragedy that they're so often overlooked in the dogfights of the Second World War, when these boys are putting in so much effort, had so much courage, that their stories can possibly be forgotten. Had faced incredible odds. And their efforts are so often overlooked. This is why we try. To bring back the stories. To keep the legend alive. My grandfather, for many of his films, who was tragic to film back in 1970, but as you can see now, brought back to life, back on the Airshow scene by my dad Matthew Boddington. So very much a family affair there.
Yeah, definitely. And such a lovely mix of types there, the F5As, the U417 and the two Fokker triplane. The American contribution to the European theatre of the 1939-45 conflict. Day in May 1945. For the first time then, on the ground here at the RAF Cosford Air Show and operating from this airfield, it's the Boeing B-17G Flying Fortress named Sally B. Of history in the sky here. The whole concept of the Flying Fortress was this: it can protect itself. Didn't quite work out like that. RAF Spitfires could hardly escort the American bombers any distance into Europe, but the P-47 and the P-51 in particular that we've just seen with the B-17 changed all of that. red light. The scale of things is also just phenomenal. When we think there was a time during 1944 when 42 airfields in the UK were home to B-17s. Generally, you'd aim at the idea of consolidated B-24 Liberators as well.
Still got the key?
And talking of effort, the effort involved in keeping this aircraft airworthy in private hands by Ellie Sallingboe and her colleagues with B-17 preservation at Duxford is also verging on the superhuman. This aircraft last year celebrated its 50th anniversary on the British display circuit in private. And that's the sort of heroism that will never be forgotten as long as this aircraft flies on. As I say, it does so in private hands. It doesn't receive official support. A very big part of the effort behind this aeroplane comes courtesy of the contributions made by private individuals. Here is an RAF station and one of the homes of the RAF Museum. We ought to say that that disastrous early use of the fortress by the RAF wasn't its last. We see the bomb doors on the B-17 open on this pass and also smoke on to simulate a damaged engine, and this final pass always pays tribute to the members of the Sally B support squad. Was taxiing from our position with the grass and trees. The aircraft almost disappeared. So the aircraft now on its final approach to land. And there it is, down on quite live up to expectations in the dogfight high altitude role, but was certainly a handful at low level. It was, of course, when the airframe met the Merlin, the Packard Merlin. It was still incredibly compressed. The airframe they produced was absolutely outstanding. And as you say, the Allison B-1710 engine that powered the early Marks, the early models, was not particularly good at high altitude. Its outright performance was not as good.